Topics in Math Radical Review. All right, in order to simplify these square roots, you want to think of that list of perfect squares. So the list of perfect squares, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared, 4, 3 squared, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, and so on. So keep those numbers handy. You probably don't need the list. You have it in your head, but if it's helpful, just have that list then. All right, so for 24, we want to think of which of those perfect squares goes evenly into 24. So we're going to do some of these together. We're going to do numbers 1, grab my sheet here, 5, 9, 15, 17, and 19. And then you guys can do the rest for your homework tonight. All right, so number 1. Square root of 24, the perfect square that goes into 24. So 9 doesn't divide evenly in 24, 16 doesn't, but 4 does. So we can break square root of 24 apart to be square root of 4 times square root of 6. What is the square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2. So you'll simplify it as 2 times the square root of 6. 2 square root of 6. Okay, number 5, this one's multiplying. So the numbers that are not under the radical you can put together. Oops. And then the numbers that are under the radical you can put together. Okay. All right, so then we can take 2 times 4, which is 8. 3 times 2, which is square root of 6. See if you can break that square root of 6 further. You might be thinking 3 and 2, but since 3 and 2 aren't on our list, we don't want to break that apart. So we were actually done when we got 8 times the square root of 6. Okay? All right, number 9. So when we add radicals, you want to separate them first. So square root of 27 we can break apart to be 9 and 3. Square root of 12 we can break apart to be 4 and 3. So square root of 9 is 3 times square root of 3. Square root of 4 is 2 times square root of 3. And then now we can add the numbers out in front. So it's like you have this pile of square root of 3s. So you have over here, you have 3 of them. And then over here, you have 2 more of them. So in all, how many square root of 3s do I have? I have 5 square root of 3s. So 5 times the square root of 3. All right, let's jump down to the next section here, number 15. All right, so this one, we need to what is called rationalize the denominator. So we're going to have no radicals in the denominator. Okay, so how can I get rid of that square root of 5? The way you can get rid of the square root of 5, the 3 is fine. We can have a 3 in the denominator. We can't have a square root in the denominator. So if I take square root of 5 times something, we want it to give us a whole number. So, and not a real number, not an irrational number. So we want to take it times the square root of 5. Because if I take square root of 5 times square root of 5, I'm just going to get 5. So if I did it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. Because we can do this because square root of 5 over square root of 5 is just 1. And we can take anything times 1 over 1, right? So we can take both the top, the numerator, and the denominator by square root of 5 over square root of 5. So we're going to get 2 times the square root of 5 over, and then some of you might just be able to see that this is going to be 15. If you're not sure how to see that that's 15, maybe think of it as 2 times the square root of, so square root of 5 times square root of 5 would be 25, but the square root of 25 is just 5. So 2 times the square root of 5 over 15. Okay? All right, let's look at 17. So this one we want to simplify it first, then we'll go from there. So what perfect square goes into square root into 32? So you might be thinking 4, and that'd be right, 4 and 8, but you can go further. So if you can find that biggest perfect square, 16 and 2 right away, that'll just save you some time. So we get 2 plus 4 times the square root of 2 over 2. So this is like an answer you might get when you do the quadratic formula. But now we need to simplify it. So we can take a 2 out of everything. Now you're not going to mess with the radical, just all the numbers out front of the radical. So this is kind of the shortcut of simplifying this. And then it'd be over 1. So you're going to just leave it like that. Why does this work? Well, what you're really doing is on the numerator, you're pulling out a 2. It's like reverse distributive property, and you still have that 2 on the denominator. So those 2's will cancel, and that's why this simplifies to be 1 plus 2 times the square root of 2. All right, last one we're going to do, number 19. All right, for this one, you want to distribute. So we're going to take 2 times the square root of 5 times 3, and then 2 times the square root of 5 times negative 5. So we're first taking this number times 3, and then over here, you could either put a minus in the middle or just 2 times square root of 5 times, I'm just going to go negative square root of 5. All right, so remember, when you multiply, the numbers that were not under the radical can go together. Those can be multiplied. And the numbers that were under the radical can go together. So like this one, 2 times, think of this negative out here as like a negative 1. 2 times negative 1 would be negative 2. And then we have square root of 5 times square root of 5. So we're going to get 6 times the square root of 5. And then minus 2 times square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just going to be 5, or square root of 25, which is 5. So then we're going to get 6 square root of 5 minus 10. So you can leave it like that, or negative 10 plus 6 square root of 5. Either of those are fine. All right, so finish this worksheet up and submit on Canvas. Email me if you guys have any questions.